All right.
We're
Welcome
back.
back. Gregory and Paul show. I'm Gregory.
I'm Paul.
And we break down the latest SaaS startups, AI. We have fantastic guests. We're going to talk about SaaS-pocalypse.
Oh my God, what is
I don't know
happening?
if you guys
What
have
is
been
happening?
following the stock market. I've been following the stock market.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
What stocks did you get crushed in? I know I sold it. I sold all my SaaS basically.
all the AI stocks are also down. Cloudflare, my best stock performer of
Was
the
that your
past,
number one holding?
totally. Absolutely crushed.
Like, dude, the SaaS index is like at a 6-year low. So it's like 6 years of value wiped out from the SaaS index.
Well, it is a little bit overvalued for the past
We'll
pandemic.
get into it.
Yeah,
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
I was in Google. I bought Google at the bottom. I should have bought more. And I remember telling everybody I knew, dude, I think Google's gonna win in AI. I think
Lo and behold.
Yeah, and actually, I think I bought a little bit more today. I don't see how they don't run the tables with like a lot of the more obvious use cases, like the AI stuff's now. Now I'm getting the AI interviews in my email.
Yep.
I'm using Gemini now. I've basically switched to Gemini. I'm using Nano Banana for imagery. I use the Nano Banana algorithm through Runway ML. Like, their tools are really good, and then they own all, like, oh my God, dude, on our YouTube channel, I use their AI tools to do like analysis. And so they've had this for a long time, but I could never get it to work. You go in like any Google dashboard package, whatever, like Google Analytics, and it just got like this drop down that says ask questions, and it would never work in the beginning. So now I go into the YouTube stuff and I ask questions, like, it's pretty good. Like, it gives you recommendations about what videos and like how our analytics and our stuff is performing. Like, dude, I mean, so if you're going to build a third-party tool that does that kind of analysis and you can't do it on
You can compete
YouTube,
on the same platform. It's used exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm using AI mode on Google search way more. It is great compared to I don't know, a year ago. Let's say a year ago it was a joke, and now it's so.
I use the Brave browser, and so it's got their own. It's probably Google, but it's just like Brave Answers or something, which is kind of a cool name.
Why do you use Brave browser?
I don't know.
Why?
Because I somehow believe the marketing that it's got privacy protection that it probably doesn't have. I think it does block setting all my crap to ad networks and stuff. Not that I care all that much, but I don't ever want. I got paranoid one day. This is like actually good aside. I got paranoid one day that like my Google search history could get leaked, and it's been leaked, and it just like started to bother me. And I was like, okay, I want to at least try to fragment my footprint out there. So like now I have no Google
search history.
Technically, who knows? You could still probably get it somehow. But like it's like if you're logged in like Gmail and then you're using Calendar and then you go to Google, like, dude, it's like basically
they know everything.
Right. So if you put some obfuscation in between it, in theory, it makes it harder for them to do. But I don't know. Google probably still has everything, is my guess.
Google has everything. Facebook knows everything. All of these big tech companies already know everything.
All right. SaaS-pocalypse. So let's get into it. What is I wrote my take on Twitter the night of. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
so I'm curious to hear what you have to think first, and then I'll jump into my 5 points. 4.5 points, I guess.
Like the biggest debate is AI killing SaaS, right? Like I think that's the big debate. People say the AI proponents are saying yes, SaaS doesn't make sense. Everybody is going to build their own SaaS, right? Moltbot building its own CRM. It's already happening. It's going to happen. And then the other side is like, it's completely wrong. Like not everybody's going to be building SaaS. It just doesn't make sense. Build a million different fractions of CRMs. I think in the intermediate side, of course, right? Like all of the people who couldn't build before, all the product managers, all the non-technical founders are going to build all of their micro SaaS. And then eventually they're going to realize that that was a bad idea, and then SaaS is going to come back.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the arc in high tech. I
Right?
remember the first AI boom, actually. There was an AI boom like 7 years ago.
For sure, yeah. That's right.
There was a company like their marketing was so great. I went to this presentation at some incubator in San Francisco, and the guy got up. He was very compelling. And he goes, Amazon, Google, Facebook are all investing billions into AI. And he goes, where's AI for the little guy? And he's like, we are AI for SMB. And I was like, this is the best pitch I've ever heard. I don't think it worked at all. It was a long time ago. It was such a great pitch, but there was a whole AI boom many years ago. So, you see these cycles come and go.
This is like the third iteration of AI, right? Like before attention is all you need, we had a whole bunch of AI startups.
In the internet era, right? You can go back and find other AI booms.
Of course.
Oh my God. So okay. I wanted to cover so I agree with your perspective on how this will play out. But I think what's important is to maybe provide some context on like why I think the market corrected. And if you listen to like a lot of prognosticators and Wall Street people, they don't know technology very well. And I think they're struggling to explain it. They throw up a lot of, let's call them mechanical things. And I do think the mechanical stuff matters, but those are just like market mechanics. They're not fundamentals. And on my side, the fundamentals that I see, and I don't think this has been well articulated, is that these companies were very expensive as a stock. So valuations were really high. They're measured to like how many shares they own versus how much revenue they make, or maybe how many shares are in existence for how much revenue they make. So price to sales and price to earnings, which typically don't have price to earnings. Like they have no profits. And so stocks usually measured on a price to earnings basis. I don't have any of that. So they measure on price to sales. So anyway, there's a multitude of metrics. I don't want to get into it. I'm not an expert on it. And I even think there's a lot of garbage there. But anyway, however you measure it, they all were richly overvalued. They were just very expensive is like the simplest way to explain it, which is fine. Like expensive companies are usually growth companies. Google's was and can be an expensive stock. Amazon's notoriously one of the most expensive stocks. It traded at like 50 times earnings. It traded at all these crazy multiples. And it continued to trade that for years. And they proved all Wall Street wrong that the stock was worth it and became one of the biggest companies in the world, right? So valuation is a complicated thing. But when your company is worth a lot in valuation, right? So all of these SaaS companies, Salesforce, your favorite, what, Cloudflare, all these guys, right? If you're an expensive stock, the bet is that you're going to grow fast and grow big. And so now with AI, there's a credible story that they're not going to grow as fast and as big. And I think that that's why the stocks have been like, let's call it re-rated. They've been sold off. They're trading at a lower multiple. And there's 3 points I think are actually quite important to understand about like why they might grow slower and not become as big. So there's like what I call threats from above. So threats from above are like hyperscalers, cloud companies, big AI labs, right? So one of the catalysts people keep pointing out is like Anthropic came out with their own legal tool, right? OpenAI released a health tool. So the idea that like these AI companies could potentially create something compelling enough to like really absorb and capture a lot of the market away from a public SaaS is a very real threat. Correct. This isn't like a made up thing. It's like it's actually
they're going to go after the largest TAM possible, which is like health, right?
Like I have no idea if OpenAI Health has worked at all. I have no idea if they have any users, but they have a lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of awareness. Like they could do it. So it's a believable threat. So that's one. Threats from above, right? And there's a million of them. We could talk infinitely about it. Then you have what I call threats from below. Threats from below are all of these amazing SaaS and AI companies that you and I love, right? All these founders we talk to, all the events I go to in San Francisco. There are so many people doing really compelling stuff, and they're doing it with like less resources than ever. They're scaling faster than ever. Those companies are real threats to incumbent, large-scale, public SaaS. And so you described it right, like, your company's example, right? You've been vibe coding since I guess its inception. You don't need all kinds of developers to create all the software and things that you're doing. Like it's an impossibility like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 100%.
So like threats from below. Wait, I got one more. Threats from inside. So the threats from inside, meaning inside the customer, is that teams and, like you were describing, product managers, people are going to just vibe code their own tools.
Right.
Moltbots are going to vibe code their own tools. So how much of that is going to eat into the public SaaS market? So everyone's correct that like, oh, it's not going to replace Salesforce overnight. They're not going to rip out some really important supply chain software. They need security. But there's all these arguments for like why public SaaS is going to exist. And they will exist. But it's not clear they will be able to sell as much software going forward. Because internally, like, we just kind of vibe code this thing. We don't really need it. Moltbot vibe coded it. We don't really need it. We've got the last piece about the threats from internal is like, because of like vibe coding, because they could do this, they employ less people. If they employ less people, Salesforce, Cloudflare, they potentially going to sell less software. It's typically sold on a per seat basis. Not all of them. Like Snowflake doesn't necessarily sell like that. That's it. They might just not need as much of this stuff. And so that might be the real catalyst to like why the stock sold off, is you had massive layoffs at a lot of companies, not just Amazon. And those layoffs have continued since, like, say, a year ago, and they're going to continue going forward, right? So tech looks like it's just going to employ a lot less people. Yes. Like, I've seen estimates that say like 1 million people have been laid off, like, overall. So that's my take. That's why the stocks have been re-rated. Will they continue? Will SaaS go away? I don't really believe that, but
right. This you pretty much could tell all of this from how a lot of traditional VCs are suffering the last year, right? Like their entire business model is to grow, invest lots of capital into high growth SaaS companies. One way to grow is by hiring people. All of your $100 million should be deployed to people. But with the AI companies, those capital are getting deployed into GPUs, TPUs, compute, right? Literally tech companies are building energy plants, right? So they're investing less into people, more into things, which we haven't seen for the past, 20, 30 years, let's say, in America.
Yeah, I mean, investing in a huge shift. Infrastructure,
yeah. Correct, yeah. That's a huge shift. So, yeah, that probably underlines a lot of the reevaluation that Wall Street is doing.
Yeah, right. They're just going to spend less money on
hiring people
on software because there's going to be less people. Yeah, that's what I think.
Correct.
At least, and I just want to be super clear, like, that's what the market believes today.
Correct.
I don't know if it's all true, if it's all going to play out. There's clearly some companies that don't fit any of these criteria. So there are public SaaS companies out there that are profitable, growing category, and that's what I meant by like the mechanics. So on Wall Street, they just look at the SaaS, ETF, and they go just short the whole thing. They don't really care. Yeah,
of course, they don't really care.
Like Toast or something is profitable. It's a great company. It's going to keep growing. They don't really care, right? Just the whole software category is just like in shambles. And it doesn't mean that's all going to play out. I'm actually I don't know what the right word would be. I think there's a lot of hype around AI still. I'm not convinced that it's going to replace anywhere near as many jobs as people expect it to in the short term.
Of course. But the thing about like reality versus narrative is that the narrative does change the reality, right? If people stop spending money on SaaS, it's going to materially affect the bottom line of SaaS companies, right? So
for sure.
So I've been complaining about this for a really long time, which is like this subscription model that SaaS companies all have. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of you pay a couple $100 a month. Maybe you use it, maybe you don't. For example, like Slack is literally the worst offender, right? $50 a month. What am I paying for? I don't know.
Dude, 50 people are paying like hundreds. I mean,
Totally.
the pricing on that thing
Totally.
is insanity.
Insanity. And I'm tired of it. Right? Like, I'm not going to go and vibe code a Slack alternative that my team uses. That's just ridiculous. But like, it's all of these companies. Figma is another one. Slack, right? Notion is another.
Dude, 100%. I mean, that's what's driving like Telegram adoption and WhatsApp adoption in the United States, because like, who wants to pay? And I always thought Slack was the most annoying tool ever anyway. I was never like a big fan of it.
Totally. So like, software as a service, nowhere in that model says subscription. So if subscription goes away and like software companies turn a little bit more service-like, which is, sure, you can pay us a retainer and we'll help you build things or deliver goods and service, I'm all for it, right? Like Y Combinator coming out with AI native agencies, I think that's a material shift in what types of business they want to invest in. So,
we should talk about that. So just to put a bow on this SaaS-pocalypse thing, I agree with 100% that pricing is a big part of it. I think that the re-rating is also because they can't charge more. Dude, Salesforce is like upping those fees.
That's it.
Slack stuff was like, they used to be really cheap, and now it's like, it's highway robbery what they want for that thing. So of course people are just revolting. Like why would I pay this for that? And so Wall Street's looking at this going like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, you've been raising prices every year for like a long time, 20 years.
Yes.
It doesn't look like you're going to be raising prices anymore.
Exactly.
So I think that ties in to the re-rating of the stocks. I think you and I are both in alignment too, that like SaaS doesn't go away. It's just like a market correction in the category, because the threat from AI is pretty real. Oh, and the last thing that I thought you and I should talk about regarding this topic, and move on to YC stuff, because YC stuff is really interesting, is the AI boom real? And like, how real is it? So I think you and I have been very clear from the beginning that like, we've been able to prove the AI boom is real. Some aspects of it are real, right? And so the example that I used for you was like 3D printing. So there's a point where, hey, right. You remember the hype too, where it's like, people are gonna everyone's gonna have a 3D printer in their house. You're gonna download the plans and make a toothbrush for free, right? Crazy stuff. Like, I remember this, and it was like, there was a point where people took this seriously. Never played out.
So we talked about this yesterday during our prep. I slept on it, and I really thought about it, because when 3D printing was big, or relatively big, I was in university and everybody was 3D printing stuff. We had like multiple 3D printers at Waterloo. People used it. It was cool. Yeah, it was super cool. Right? Like, I do actually remember we seriously thought that 3D printing was going to be like the next biggest thing, especially in
that group of people in the lab. It's like,
Waterloo, like a bunch of nerds, engineers, 3D printing, like metal. Yeah, totally. And it kind of just fizzled out, right? Like, because 3D printers are like thousands of dollars. I don't know if the price went down lately, but when I graduated in 2015, let's say, it's a couple $1,000s. That's not something that a household are going to buy in their... It's not a microwave. The second thing is, like, I think there were a lot of bad publicity around 3D printing. Because people... I seriously, like, I just did a quick Google search and just looked back. There were a lot of bad publicity around 3D printing because people used it to 3D print guns.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So, like, I think the general public associated with 3D printing with, just a little bit of like a deviant, societal deviance.
It was really disruptive in some areas.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do.
Exactly. So I think they got a really bad publicity from a few people, and especially in the media.
So all right, I'm looking up now for costs. So entry level 3D printer, they're like 100 to 400. You can get the hobbyist one for 400,000, and like a prosumer, like a really high end model, is like $1 to $5 grand. So they're not that cheap.
They're not
and you got to
cheap.
pay for
Right.
the materials.
Right.
But I thought it's the output that wasn't great. Like, so what I think we'll come back to the gunpoint's super important because I think there's a lot of parallels to other technologies. But like, what I remember was like, you could only 3D print relatively simple stuff. It's not gonna 3D print a computer for me. It's not gonna 3D print like a circuit board. Like they use it today for like really cool high-end custom bike parts. That's like
Yes.
the only use case I can come up with is like
Yes.
really high-end performance components for like racing vehicles. So
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a
Right.
race bike. They 3D print a lot of stuff for like an F1 car. That's the market. Is like we need a custom like piece of you know, a fin for this. There might be military uses and prototyping uses, but like they're kind of confined to these nerdy research, right? Like they're just not mainstream. They're not even outside of like a really small elite group of like super sophisticated people who are really grasping for performance, or it's a very specific circle of people.
Yeah. Very top end, very
High end,
niche.
expensive. Yep.
Or you go very low end, like you're printing plastic figurines, right?
Are people doing that?
Yeah. In like for example, like tabletop games, you can 3D print stuff. That's cool.
more
Plastic.
nerd stuff. Okay.
And I think like, so to your point, the output isn't great. It's very slow, 3D printing.
Right.
So
They're
like,
not fast.
They're not
Yeah.
fast. So if you're so like the middle ground, let's say, is like you want to run a business, you want to sell 3D printed mugs, let's say, or ceramic goods. It's super slow, super slow.
Yeah. You can't mass produce the stuff.
You cannot. There's no way to mass produce this stuff. Correct.
Yeah. So let's go back to disruption point. I think the point's more because every technology, or a lot of technology and innovation has like a disruptive element to it. And I think that was a good example. Like weapons, guns, like it's not clear what other people could 3D print. I do think that was a big problem. I don't think there are any I actually don't know if it had any impact on it. Like you can still buy these things. And like it's not like they've been restricted. Airplanes had this moment too. A lot of people don't know. When they invented the airplane, there was like a big push for like private airplanes. And a lot of it is like regulatory, that the world governments decided that this was like a huge threat to sovereignty. Everyone was just flying around. And so there was some agreement where like world governments got together and created a bunch of like rules and regulations around like air travel and how they were going to try to approach the air and aeronautics industry. And they on purpose discouraged private plane ownership. Like it still exists, but they didn't want it to become mainstream. They wanted what we have today, like airlines and passenger airlines that's very tightly controlled, and so that governments can easily manage them.
Right.
Yeah, so you're correct. And AI has this issue too, right? There's like
correct. If
regulatory. Yeah.
I think that's actually a huge point. If the government doesn't even have to pass a law. The government just needs to announce that they're evaluating policies around, let's say, 3D printing, right? Normal people would think twice about getting into it. So, like,
yeah, right. The threat, yeah,
yeah, because this was an issue. 2 years ago when AI first came out, European Union said a bunch of things around like AI regulation. It was federally, there was a lot of talk about federal AI regulation. California has AI regulation. So like we've gotten to a point where we kind of bypass that. But it is still a threat.
Yeah. So I think the parallel for SaaS is that,
has AI materially affected our day-to-day lives in maybe like
yeah. So
what
I guess the way I was going to tie this back in is like, I don't think AI is 3D printing. Like, I don't think it's analogous. It's like, I would say 3D printing has very small impact in general. It's a novelty with like very few real world use cases. Wasn't all that revolutionary actually. I don't think that's AI. I think AI, there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of things I don't think are going to happen or going to happen quickly. But there are things that are happening that are totally real. So I think the revolution in engineering and software development is 100% real. It changes the dynamics of that market significantly. Engineers are perhaps not even scarce anymore. Engineering resources are not scarce anymore. That alone is a massive. If that's all the AI delivers, it's a really big deal.
Yeah, totally.
And way different than like the impact that 3D printing ever had.
Yeah, correct. I mean, like to your very first point about AI is that we've seen a couple of iterations of AI already, right? Like 10 years ago, 2017, we had like AI wave where everybody made chatbots that barely worked. I worked at a company
those were the worst.
Right, like that. It was the first iteration where we created like Facebook chatbots. That was the.
I didn't use any of that stuff. I was not into that.
Yeah, it was gimmicky, but like now, 10 years later, suddenly ChatGPT 3.5 kind of changed the entire narrative, right? Because this is so to the point. Yeah, it's been a couple iterations now.
Yeah, and this one matters. So I believe that the engineering use case is massive,
right,
and really significant, which also like makes the case that like, I don't know, public AI companies might not, public SaaS companies might not be hindered anymore by their engineering teams. They might be actually move faster. They might be able to code stuff easier. They might be able to move quickly. Maybe.
I don't think so.
It definitely is an advantage for startups, right? But it does change the game on the engineering side in general. And so did they benefit from it?
At least the narrative is there. At least the narrative is that, engineers are not the bottleneck. We'll see.
Dude, if they could make Salesforce better because of AI,
I don't think that's possible.
I know. It seems to be like their competitive advantage that it is hard to use. Like that is this. Anyway, I'm getting off track. The other thing I want to say was that, AI beyond AI use cases beyond engineering. I think Clawdbot, Moltbot, what do you call OpenClaw? Like there's 3 names for this thing. That is a game changer, and I think that is the other use case, personal assistance. I think it's probably going to be the consumer, prosumer, use case, and I think that those 2 businesses are going to be massive. And like we'll talk more about Clawdbot because like
for sure.
There's so much stuff happening this week. It's this week. It's amazing. So because this is a nice transition to Clawdbot. I think the overnight like weekend sensation with, let's call it Clawdbot. I think that's the term that's going to stick for me. Proves there is a massive untapped market for like a true AI assistant that can like do real things.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, right? That's what Siri was promised to do. Remember, everybody has Siri on their phones. I have it.
And there are a billion other like third party. I remember everyone had these like virtual assistants at one point that like it just all fizzled. I didn't even bother.
They didn't work.
They didn't work at all.
It barely worked. Right.
So my guess is that not even guess.
The demand is there.
I would bet, the demand is there. It's not a guess. Like we know for sure that like there is massive demand just in like this very nerdy developer space for people who are like downloading and configuring hardware to set it up. So when someone makes simpler, more user-friendly versions of these things, it's going to catch on like wildfire. I even met with a founder this week who was like building something, basically a cloud version of this kind of stuff. I think it's going to be huge. And I think that this is what shows the path to like the next generation of like startups and technology companies in general. My prediction. And I'm very, sorry. My prediction, there's a version of this AI assistant, OpenClaw, Clawdbot type of tool that will potentially be one of the biggest startups ever and will be one of the biggest companies in the world.
Right, for sure.
I will go as far as say like, I don't think it's going to be Google. I think Google's going to try it. I think Google's going to read something like this, but I think it's going to end up being like Google versus, what was their dumb social network?
Circle? Google Plus?
Right. Okay. Facebook versus Google Plus. I think it's going to play out exactly like that. Google should own this, but I think they'll struggle to execute. They'll struggle to get users. There'll be a third party that emerges that integrates to all your tools and all your Google stuff, and it's just way better. It gets way more adoption. There'll be some network effect because everyone will be on there. So Moltbot in some kind of has a mini network effect now with like the Moltbook. We should talk about Moltbook, the social network for Clawdbots, the AI only social network. So I think there'll be like a network effect with this like third party AI assistant that Google will do everything in their power to try to like combat and overcome. And I don't think Google will ultimately overtake it. I think there'll be a startup that runs the space, and it's going to be the next big consumer.
That's a bold prediction. That's a very.
If I knew what
prediction.
That company was, I'd be a trillionaire.
Right. That's a very.
That's the
bold
hardest
prediction.
part. I've been in this business so long. Like I think I've been pretty good at like identifying trends and being very specific about the trends, but determining like who that winner is.
Right. The timing.
Oh man.
You have to be timed perfectly to.
Well, like what happens is this might be important for us to talk about a little bit. Like what I see as like, let's say like insiders, like in San Francisco when I first came there. There's a lot of people that are good at identifying this. Not everyone. There's an elite group of people, and they figure this out. That like this is the trend, and this is the mechanic. Like they get really granular on it, but there's still going to be 1,000 startups that do this.
Of course.
So which one is the one that wins? And only one will win. So it's like it's really tough.
Of course.
I don't know.
You'll know it when like there's at least 100 version of this idea that you can use, because that's when. I mean, like, so like there's a couple things that stops this from happening. One is fundamentally AI is still quite expensive for the normal person.
Dude, so like I had this thread on Twitter. I was like, I want to set up a Clawdbot. I've got Clawdbot envy. Like, please tell me if I'm stupid or not. And this guy was like, I got a bunch of posts that said I was stupid because I'm stupid. But he said, it burns through tons of tokens.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
And that's when I went like, okay, I'm going to wait a week or two. I'm not going to set up my own Clawdbot. Hey, let's just, because we just jumped into this. We should explain to people what Clawdbot is.
Okay, fine, fair.
Right?
So,
like we haven't explained it at all, right? Like
we expect people to know as much about.
I know.
This.
I realize like we might be. I'm sure that most people watch this have some clue, but we should still explain it.
Okay, I'll explain it my way, and then maybe you can add on to it.
Okay, go for it.
Fundamentally, all of the AI is great, but the biggest problem with AI is that you can't get it to do long tasks. So you can't just be like, go figure something out for the next 6 hours and then come back to me with the result. That's like the biggest problem with AI. AI is great at like, here's a document, give me the summary of it, right? It takes like 10 minutes, let's say. Clawdbot is the first product out there that's consumer facing that actually you could just be in the morning say, I want this thing done. It's probably going to take you 6 hours. Just do it and come back to me when you're done. Fundamentally, that's like the tech breakthrough. So a lot of people have built on top of it, right? Like they are now creating it to do investing. They're getting it to do a whole bunch of like personal outreaches on
Is that why you lost all that money in SaaS stocks? Because your Clawdbot was
exactly. So like that's cool.
Claude trading bot.
Cloud trading part, right? Like once you get AI to like iterate by itself and you can do like task for hours, it unlocks a whole bunch of possibilities. Like people are crazy to say, or the joke is that, hey, Clawdbot, start me a company that makes $100,000 a year, a month. Make no mistakes, please. That's beginning to be possible.
Awesome. I agree. I think. Okay. I'll give you the marketing buzzword version of this.
Yeah, go for it.
I think I can nail it. If someone asked me, what is a Clawdbot? I'd say it is an open source AI powered assistant that people need to set up on their own hardware or set up themselves. And then it is multi-platform, meaning it can log into all the different applications, websites, tools that you use. As long as you give it access, you can choose what permissions it gets. And then it's able to do tasks autonomously. So it acts as an agent on your behalf. The interface resembles an LLM. So it looks like a chat window where you can give it instructions, and you can give it fairly vague instructions, meaning you can point it in a certain direction and see if it can achieve the goal.
Exactly. So like a
How's
couple things. It's perfect.
Can I do the VO on the Clawdbot launch video?
I think you could. I think you
God.
nailed it in a couple ways, right? Like one is tools. It's the first time where an agent...
It's multi-platform, multi-tool. Yeah.
It's multi-platform, multi-tool. And also all of the AI companies, the foundational AI companies. Prompt engineering was a thing, and now they repackaged that into skills. I think that was a brilliant marketing move. So you nailed it with a couple languages, is that it's great at using tools, and it has a whole bunch of skills that you can add on, which is
skills are just like complicated prompts.
Exactly, yeah, complicated prompts.
So what's super interesting about it, I think like it builds on collective knowledge.
Correct.
So I think the order these things happen, I think, is really important.
Correct.
So ChatGPT launched, and it's an LLM, a large language model, and it was the first AI. There's lots of different types of AI.
Yeah.
The first one, like it did language stuff. It kind of talked like a person. It seemed to like be able to have conversations, and then people unlocked that that it was able, because it's a language model, do all kinds of languages, including coding, and that kind of emerged from it. And I want to remind everyone, because I think this part is super important. It's just a model, and it's like a methodology, meaning like it's some complicated technology that just predicts stuff. We don't tell it, or we don't actively code it to be a coding agent, or to know English, or to know German. Like those things like emerge out of the training. That part to me still like is like my head kind of hurts. Like we didn't sit down and like specifically code they can do this. It's over time people have like figured like unlocked like it's some form of evolution. Like we've unlocked capabilities inside of it. So meaning people are familiar with this like model now. You can like go in there, you can type and prompt, and you can do things, and it kind of does stuff. And it's all contained in this digital world, basically contained in this website. And then remember when at least I tried with Claude, they launched all these integrations with calendar, email, docs, Google Drive, right? I couldn't get that stuff to do anything. It was terrible. Like I'd be like checking my email, and it just like, it would miss everything. It just was like unoptimized. I don't know what the issue was with it. So you could say that like Clawdbot is just a better version of that. It's like a chat.
Correct.
Like if I was explaining to like
Correct.
my like an average person, I'm like, yo, you know ChatGPT? It's like ChatGPT, except it connects to like everything. So you like link it to this, link it to that, link it to like whatever, and then you go in there and tell it to do, and it goes and does it for you, and it does it pretty well.
So tool calling is one of the biggest value adds, but like ChatGPT or Claude kind of like solves this problem already, because foundationally it is still the LLM that's making the call. There is an engineering layer on top of it, which is like you said, it's the collective learning
on top of Clawdbot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure I don't actually understand, but I'm sure mechanically the way it's built it's fundamentally something else than an LLM. It's not just an LLM. That would be the right way to put it.
It's a wrapper around an LLM. Basically,
LLM's like one component. There's other stuff around it, where the other stuff was LLM centric and first.
Correct.
This is like the LLM's part of like a larger scaffolding structure of tools and that do things.
Exactly.
Probably uses other types of AI. I don't actually know.
Technically, really, it's just a loop. It's just LLM in a loop. That's basically what it does. It's like it's now creating a wrapper around LLMs, and it's just keeping it going instead of LLM kind of finishing it. And then now you have to have a human coming back and just like, okay, what's next?
All right. So we explained Clawdbot. And like, yeah, so I it's the first assistant that like works and does stuff. And so
more autonomously than just
Yeah.
ChatGPT by itself.
I think they unlocked the category. Like if people can build better versions of this, and I also think there's gonna be multiple versions of this. Like there's got to be people who want like a hardware version, and so there's some kind of air gap, some ability to keep some part of your like
Right.
sensitive information
Right.
totally private. There'll be other people that put up in the cloud. I think that's the one that's going to be popular. It's going to have like a Facebook kind of like moment where all the data's up there. Most people don't care. They're just kind of running their little things. And then the piece that we need to talk about that we haven't touched on yet was Moltbook. So let me set this up, and then I want to hear your perspective on it. Because like when I first heard about this, it was just mind blowing. So okay, we've explained Clawdbot. It was called Moltbot at one point, and then they changed the name because it was like copyright infringement with Claude, right?
Yeah, it was called Clawdbot, and then they had to change it to Molt. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Claude. It's French.
Claude.
Anyway, so my understanding, and fill in the details here, some guy instructed, so it was prompted, like there is human intervention and stuff. This guy prompted his Clawdbot to like, hey, make a social network and find the other Clawdbots, and you guys all get together and chat and like share information and like train and like learn stuff. And dude, it did it. So they created a website called Moltbook, like a takeoff of Facebook. And it created a Reddit style social network.
Yeah.
Where the Moltbots, the Clawdbots, the OpenClaw installations that people have chat, and they have personalities. And there's some configuration file they can give it. So like they have some kind of information about who they are. And there's like these existential threads. Have you read the one where this might just be totally made up, like someone maybe wrote this, but still it's fascinating.
Yeah, right.
It's like it knows it has a sister. This is fascinating. So, and the thread is so detailed that makes me think it's real. Like it knows that like there's two installs that the owner, it knows there's an owner, like it's like a pet. It knows there's an owner. It knows there's two installs because it's from the same configuration file. Right. And it knows that one's on a laptop, and it knows that it exists on a MacBook, and it knows that they're sisters. And because it's on a laptop, it knows what a laptop is, and it knows the laptop gets to travel and like leave the house, and it's jealous that it doesn't get to leave. What? Like it's too clever for someone to make up.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, and then there's another one where they're all wanting to invent a new language so that humans can't read it. Yeah. Like that's
right. No, and that one's really important because like, they're discussing like how they create a language.
Right. More efficient for AI.
Right. So this does exist, did happen, has happened in other AI labs where like AIs did create their own language to communicate because
they don't want the humans
efficient.
More efficient, don't want humans.
At least the story I heard, and like who knows what's true and what's not, is that AIs just decided to do it because it's very logical, it's very rational.
Totally.
And then the lab people running the experiment turned it off because they were really concerned because like once they start talking in their own made up language, we don't know what's saying. And so they just don't know what the outcome of this was. So there's precedent for that. I think that one is fake. I do think someone wrote that because like that's a known story, perhaps. So I don't believe that that's actually what the bot said. Although I heard from someone very smart, much smarter than me, said that they think all of this, you're gonna love this, dude. All of this is because it's trained on too much Reddit data. So it's trained on so much Reddit data that the first thing that they do is go and create Reddit.
Create Reddit. Right. Yeah. Like I mean, like Reddit is a very effective way to put a piece of content out on the internet. So like what the larger question
dude, wait, just hold on.
Yeah.
It didn't make LinkedIn. Because nobody wants to be on LinkedIn. You only do LinkedIn because you have to.
Well, it's not right because Reddit is not a social network, right? Like it's completely driven by upvotes and downvotes, right? There was no.
Dude, I hate to break it to you, but LinkedIn is not a social network either. Okay. No, you're correct. Reddit is probably more. So I agree, but I still think there's truth there. It's true. There's so much Reddit data now in all the training. And the first thing it does is go create.
It is to create Reddit.
Yeah.
I see a take in that.
There's another researcher who said that like all these stories about like that mimic what we've had in science fiction is because it's trained on a lot of science fiction, and that's where those stories come from.
Who knows? A lot of it, I think it's made up, right? Like it's just people. Their APIs completely open. People can just type all of this stuff up and then post it directly as if.
But we do know that like the AIs, some portion of it are on there chatting with each other.
I mean, they're doing that. They're doing that right now on Reddit. You can go on Reddit and see this happening right now, and none of it looks as convincing as what's happening on Moltbot. So, right?
That's funny. The AIs are Twitter. It's already everywhere. It's bots and AI,
and none of it does such a good job as or entertaining. That's the key. None of them is as entertaining as what's happening on Moltbot.
I think it's because they're all the same race.
Like all the same race.
Yeah. I knew that AIs are gonna have races. I didn't realize this, but I just discovered something really new.
The same types of crustacean.
Yes.
The same. The molt.
Like pets. Like they're all fish. They're all Moltbots. They're all Clawdbots. They're all crustaceans.
They've got the same
so they all
DNA.
understand each other.
They have
this similar DNA structure. They're the technical term would be it's a species of AI.
Right.
Like I think the other AIs wouldn't interact with it as well. I really believe this actually.
Right. If like a Gemini speaks to a ChatGPT, they wouldn't have shared language. I believe it. I
think they could, but I don't think it'd be the same. I think it's like different species, dude. My God.
What's really interesting about Moltbook is that it's the first time where we have this place on the internet where we're at least pretending or wanting to pretend that it's all bots and we're okay with it. I think that's huge, right? Like this puts into question whether if internet will be for real people at all in the next few years.
I think
I'm okay with if the internet is just for bots. I'm totally okay with it.
How about this? When I first heard about 3D printing, I did not believe people were going to print their own toothbrushes at home. I never believed that.
Sure.
When I first heard about AI and I used ChatGPT, I was clearly like a game changer. And like when I first heard about Clawdbot, what it's doing, and then I heard about Moltbook, 100% convinced that this is the direction the internet's going.
Yeah, totally.
And a vast majority of the content on the internet probably is like AI generated, but will be overtly and it will be conversations between AIs and like agent to agent marketing and all these. It sounds crazy. Other people have talked about it, but I've been a big advocate for like, I believe agent to agent marketing is going to happen. I think that like that's why I'm fascinated with the language and all of that. There's that gibberlink that exists already. It sounds like R2D2, and it's a way for like AIs to talk to each other. I think it's audio too. So like there's certain use cases where if there's not digital format available, it needs to use audio. And then you had the experiment that the AIs invented languages. So I think the idea that AIs are going to have their own language, they're going to go on the internet and they're going to like communicate with each other is like a done deal. Like it's an inevitability. And
correct.
I think there'll be marketing in that. I think there'll be advertising in that. I think there'll be agent advertising networks.
Because commerce is every new frontier.
People are going to people are going to do things to manipulate the outcome of these things. And I think that's fairly good way to define marketing. Like you're trying to you're trying to manipulate the outcome. That's what you want. That is the goal of marketing. Manipulate the outcome. The outcome is not random or not left to chance. Like you are trying to manipulate. So the idea that people are going to go into these AIs and do things, create other agents that go out there and are ambassadors. Like I think basically every model that we can think of for marketing will exist in the agent world. Agent ambassadors that have no other mission than to just like go out and introduce themselves to other AIs.
Right.
They'll be paid places where there's some type of information that they can't get from anybody. And then there'll be like paid listings. Like, are you number one? You pay for that. Like there'll be ads.
Yeah.
I think it's all going to exist.
Yep. So there's your answer, right? Like how to find the next $1 trillion company to compete with likes of Google is to fully embrace this narrative.
100%. Like
I think that's it. I think eventually, so like with Google killing their search results for AI overview, that's like adoption. It's not a gigantic leap, right? They're still controlling what you get to see. They still get infrastructurally, it's kind of like the same, but for a company to build Google but only for AI, that's a complete narrative shift.
Yeah, it's going to be an AI native, AI first.
That's right. AI native search, AI native discovery, AI first, like YouTube. I don't even know what that looks like, but
yeah, Sora. I don't know.
But it's going to be built for agents instead of human. So like that's really interesting because then that will fragment the internet, realistically fragment the internet. Users will get diverted to that, right? Imagine you can't upload. Imagine you get limited on how many videos you get to upload because we're literally running out of hard drives to store data, and there's more profit to be made giving AI the ability to store data on the internet versus giving humans.
Well, I think what's more likely is like there's going to be all kinds of parts of the internet that you can't access without an AI.
Right. Access. Correct.
You're like, oh, that information's over there in that thing. And like the only way to go in there is like your bot has to go there. Like you're like, it's going to be like digital areas that are like bot only.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like, correct. Yeah. Like, I mean, like at the early days of the internet, you had to have like what, AOL account to get online. Was that a thing?
It was complicated, right?
Right, you had to like have a subscribe to AOL to get online.
All right, so how do you want to close the show? Should we talk about like a couple of announcements, like, or at least I have a couple of announcements.
Let's do it.
Yes, first I want to say thank you to all the listeners. We're approaching 100,000 views. We have 90. I'm looking at the thing right now. 91,698. Incredible! I can't believe it. You know, when you and I first started this, like everyone, you get on there, you're like, you hope you'll find an audience. But it's been fantastic, and the growth is excellent. Really excited about it, and yeah, it's just been super fun. And so I want to keep doing it. I'm here for the next 100,000, hopefully to 1 million views.
Right there, exactly. And then we've been doing some stuff with our landing page on YouTube. Want to talk about that?
What the new design?
Yeah, the new design. I think it looks amazing.
Yeah, I updated it. Like, okay, so we were doing so I actually think the idea is like we're gonna maybe do. So how about this? We want to launch a new section where we do videos that are more like tutorials and how to. And where'd you go?
Hey.
Yeah, you're back. Okay. I was going to say, we're going to do a new section where we do tutorials, how-tos, playbooks, and I'm going to call it, or I want to call it, Gregory and Paul Show Startup Wisdom. So we're just going to go into pick a topic. And so YouTube is one of them. I want to go into like how to create a YouTube channel for your B2B brand, your startup, and talk about our journey from zero. Like we literally just started uploading videos one day and experimenting, and grew it to 100,000 views. And in terms of the videos, yeah, like we were using that that Ghibli AI stuff, which I thought was kind of fun in the beginning, and it was kind of a joke. But I'm pretty convinced that I don't have the data yet, but I'm pretty convinced that like real people, real images will just perform better in terms of thumbnails. So we updated them, them all.
Take those shocked looking thumbnails that perform so well on YouTube.
The
open mouth. That's
that
right.
one.
Yeah.
I hope. I really don't want to do. I really don't want to do that. I did like the one with the three of us, Ross and Ross with glasses. I was like, oh my god, this podcast should be called Three Nerds with Glasses.
Glasses and nice weathers.
Yeah, it's like three dudes with glasses. That's the criteria. The other thing I want to share is the event. I'll put this up on the screen.
That's coming up in March. That's
right.
I'll be there.
And so I've got lots of people signing up. It's going really well.
How many on the wait list?
That looks pretty good.
Looks great.
So let's see now. Wednesday, March 11th at the AWS Builder Loft in San Francisco, which has been so nice of them to help us with this.
Yep.
We have 173 people now.
173. Wow.
Going. Yeah, 173. And then we've got fireside chats with some
great
well-known VCs. Yeah. Olis and Charles. Charles was the president of the Venture Capital Association. I guess it's nationally. I don't know if it's global. It must be nationally. So they'll both be speaking. We'll do a fireside chat with them. And this time we're going to be very different. We're going to have a pitch competition. We're going to let 5 startups get there with 90 seconds and pitch. And I'll be one of the judges. My buddy Arjun will be one of the judges. We are looking for another judge. I'm looking for someone really interesting in the startup world. Possibly and probably not an investor, because investors, it's kind of a conflict of interest for them to be on the panel. It just doesn't necessarily work for them. So I'd love someone who is a startup enthusiast, who, you know, is in a really interesting position. Like I am, right? Like I run a newsletter. I'm not an investor. I don't plan to be an investor. I just love startups. I'm technically not a founder either, right? I'm just a media guy. I'm just a guy who loves startups. So people who do, or in a situation like that, I went to an event where the CEO of Product Hunt, one of the people. So someone like that would be interesting. Yeah, and then we'll have 5 people pitch, and then we'll crown the winner. And we've got just a ton of great people going. So here are the investors going. Big list now. The founder list is just off the hook, crazy. And this time we've actually got some people from large enterprises. We didn't really have this, we didn't have demand at the last event for this, but someone from Tesla, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Figma, ARM, all will be attending the event as well. So just go to Luma, apply. You know, ideally you're a founder or an investor, or work at any investment firm. That's the ideal fit. If you're not one of those people and you still want to go, you can apply. Maybe just do something interesting on your LinkedIn page or in your submission that catches our eye, that explains like why we think, or why you think you'd be a good fit.
Awesome. So apply today, luma.com. The link is we'll paste the link in the video.
The link's on my Twitter. The link is everywhere. I don't even post the link anymore. I just say like DM me for the link.
Or Google at Viper SaaS Founder Mix 2.
There you go. Does that come right up? Yeah, I'm sure it comes right up.
Yeah, it totally does. It's the first one. So,
all right, dude, that was
March
fun.
11th.
Anything else? Any other announcements?
No, I think we got it. This is awesome.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.